Hello, hello. Let's just fix all the webcam stuff because it's done it again, which is not helpful at all. But good evening. Welcome to the stream. Just going to do a chill 2 hours, enjoying the fact that we are no longer playing 318. We're in 319 PTU, and it seems to be better. So I'll probably come on to this again as people ask. But what seems to be better about it? Well, it's more stable for one. Two, more people can get into it, which is good news. But one of the things that we've had troubles with on the stream in the past, as you may or may not be aware, is stability on the stream by game crashes. Sometimes I lose the whole stream setup. So if that does happen again today, I haven't solved it yet. Working on it. Do hang around. I will be back as quickly as I can, normally within just a couple of minutes. If I need to reboot the entire setup. But normally it's just a case of just switching things out quickly and cutting to chat whilst I reboot the game. But we have narrowed down what the problem is. Unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be solving anything at this point. Now, I'm just going to check that you guys can hear. Right, so there is game output as well, which is good. Cool. So we're getting somewhere. Looney Tune, hello mate. Glad you could join us. Seeing as you're the first person to talk in chat, I guess you can kind of have a stab at what you would like me to have a go at now. What I have been doing, as you probably tell by the bottom left down there, is I have been trying to work my way up to getting some of the platform missions in Horizon, because I thought it might be quite nice to go and see that. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. They seem to be rep gated behind something. So I've earned the first level of rep with Crusader Security, no dice. I've earned the very low risk target bounty hunter thing, again, no dice. So we can either kind of continue down this route, or we can have a go at some other stuff. I'm entirely easy. Sunday streams are always chill, so because they're the only streams I do, and I don't do anything other than chill right now. But very first thing I need to do, as you can see in the bottom left, is I've got to patch myself up a bit. I may have gotten shot a little earlier on, but luckily most of the AI that I've been dealing with, they tend to be slower, or I deal with them from the air, so I haven't had any of the laser focused guys that have been such a problem for other people. So I haven't been taken out yet, this PTU, which is great, because now I've said it, I'm doomed. Notorious, hello mate, good to see you. Thanks for joining. How's it been? How's your week? How's it all going? And I suppose, seeing as we are now streaming, I should get a can of today's not sponsoring the stream beer. Yet again, we're on the Brewdog Hazy Jane, for anyone that's interested. I really like it. It's probably not showing up with the whole chroma key and stuff, but this is what we're on at the minute. So get that started. Oh, that's good. Oh, okay, so it's just fixed me. Great. Lovely. That's what we like. But yeah, so up on the menu, hopefully, I'm hoping that on the previous server it was just someone jumping on all the platform missions before I saw them. Provide backup, clear criminal nest. None of this looks like... none of this looks like what I was hoping to get. But I'm sure we can find something. Or not, maybe. So we've got stuff on a Starfarer. More stuff on a Starfarer. You've been ill this week? Well, mate, I'm sorry to hear that. That's no good whatsoever. Sorry about that. All mended now. Exams coming up. Oof, what exams you got coming up? Yeah, mine's been alright, thank you, mate. Little bit of work here and there. Been delivering training over in Southampton, which is a bit of a pain because it's traffic to and from. But other than that, it's been alright. So I'm just getting the chat set up so I can see it from this distance. Let's have a look. Right. So there's a couple of things that we can do here. Seeing as we've only got a couple of the new missions available here, so there are some of the new Daymar kind of derelict outposts. They're here with the normal stuff that we were doing back on Microtech and whatever. Unfortunately, as I said before, I don't seem to have access to the stuff that is around the Orison platforms. I don't know if that's because I've got to be in Orison's kind of well. I don't think you do. I think there's something else. So let me show you what I've done. I've got level 1. I am a security contractor trainee with Crusader Security, working towards my junior security contractor. Hey Randall, welcome to the stream, mate, and thank you very much for the subscribe. I really appreciate it, my friend. Doctor Who is your favourite TV show? Awesome. You're on your GCSEs. Nice, and then move forward with your application in September. Awesome. So is that to college, or what's the application for? Feel free to not answer any of this if you don't want to be sharing this in a public space. I get it, but so we've got a little bit of work with the Bounty Hunters Guild. We've done some stuff with the Civilian Defence Force, although I'm not quite sure what, because I couldn't get Xenothreat to work with me for love nor money. Northrok are unhappy with me because I crashed out during one of their missions, so, you know, whatever. Let's have a look. So one of the really interesting missions that I think, for story itself, it might not be the greatest of all time. It might not be a massive space saga, but I like it because it shows you what they can do with the missions. It's something called PI Wanted, right? And basically, it's got audio and everything, and you go and try and solve the mystery of what happened to the Covalex shipping hub at Gundo. So you work for this lady, Elaine Ward, and she asks you to go and find out what happened there. And it's all a big mystery. So we can go and have a look at that if people wanted. That's right, Notorious. Yes, off to BRNC. Yeah, absolutely. I do remember now. Yeah. No, best of luck, my friend. That's going to be exciting. And I hope you do well with your exams. Get the grades that you need. Very exciting. Cool. Right, so we've got PI Wanted. Now, the thing about PI Wanted, there's no shooting. There's no combat. It's story-bound. But what I like is the mechanic that they've put in. If you're looking to make a lot of money in the game without combat as well, this is a pretty good way of doing it, because most of this stuff is from Gundo. So, Covalex Gundo, so there's another 8,000. Covalex Gundo, there's another 8,000. That one's not, but most of these are Covalex Gundo, so we're up to 24,000. Yep, now we're up to 29,000. Now we're up to, whatever, 37,000, 45,000, 53,000, plus your original free of 8,000. So for 61,000 gold, just a lot of moving stuff around, this can be quite a lucrative mission. Now, having said that, just shifting crates around is a little bit boring. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. Let's just do the story mission and then see if I can get one of the platform missions to pop up for us. So we're going to take this mission now. She's going to talk to us a bit as well. So there's voice lines that don't happen in a lot of the missions. Normally they only happen in the big dynamic events one. So let's see what she's got to say. Okay, you're going to make me look like a fool? I guess so.
Thank you for getting in touch with me.
There you go.
My husband recently died aboard the Gundo Kovalek station, but the company is refusing to pay out his insurance claim because they say he was at fault. It's ridiculous. There is no way that's true. I know my husband. Darnell had his problems, but that is all in the past. I want you to go to the Kovalek station and send me evidence that my husband is innocent. But even if you find out that he isn't, you'll still get paid. I know your time is valuable, and really, I just want to know the truth. I've attached the insurance claim to get you started. Good luck. And I hope to hear from you soon, one way or another.
Cool. So, off to Gundo then. Massive, basically, mishap at Gundo, killing everyone on board. Now, Gundo's just like, it's like an Amazon Prime shipping hub, right, but for these guys. So hopefully, we can get this done before my computer decides that it's time to give up the ghost and no longer play. So, let's zip across to the station as quickly as we can, and see if we can solve the mystery. Now, this is very, very old, this mission. This is not something that's new. It's been there for a while. So it may well be that a lot of people have kind of seen this before. But, having said that, I just want to talk through it as we go through it. I just want to talk through some of the bits that I find kind of really interesting about this mission. If you're going to come and do it, you don't really need much. Obviously, take an undersuit and a helmet, because no one wants to, you know, just suffocate in space. That'd be rubbish. Okay, but we're going to come up to the station now. I'll show you what you're looking for. And one of the things that's really useful is a utility tool with a... you're looking for a tractor beam attachment. Okay. Now, as you approach it, what you should see above one of the landing pads, which is not here, okay, is you should see some windows that are basically blown open, right? So have a whip round, see what you can see. Yeah. But I think it's those two pads over here that we can see. And what you'll see, okay, here. So if I light that up quickly, yeah, you see you got these windows, yep, that are blown open, so we can figure out, we can go in there. I'm going to cut the engines and just jump. Okay. So let's have a look at what they've prepared for us. So she says she's fired across the initial insurance claim. So here you go. I've been investigating a beneficiary claim resulting from the loss of Darnell Ward. Not covered by the employee policy. So they're claiming that he's either an alcoholic or addicted to drugs. And that he's somehow involved in something illegal, right? That's what we're going to go. So the preponderance of the evidence collected at Kovalek's Gundo station and witness statements indicate that the insured was intoxicated to the point he lost normal control of his mental and physical facilities. Who would get drunk at work? That's weird. And that his intoxication was a contributing cause to the accident. Fine. I think we can sort that out. Okay. One of the reasons I really like this is that it's a mission when you decide you've got the answer. Okay, so you make the call as to when you have enough information, and you can submit it whenever you like. So, let's jump out the back. We've got a helmet on. We're a little bit heavily armed for a PI, but, you know, whatever. Jump out the back. way around everywhere, because those first moments in EVA are always awful. Yeah, you're right, Notorious. It is unfortunately the only mission of its kind, which is strange because, well, I suppose it kind of makes sense because they put a lot of voice acting and bits and pieces into this. But it does give a really good indication of hopefully where they'll take missions in the future. So in we come. Yeah, we're going to pop a light on. I actually found this really eerie the first time I did it. And then a friend of mine, who shall remain nameless, Ben, I'm talking about you, jumped into Discord and I didn't realise I was in the voice channel and just went, booga, 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 without realising that I was doing this and a little bit tense. And I jumped out of my skin. Yeah, with friends like that, who needs enemies, right? So you'll see there's lots of this stuff kicking about. Doors that won't open. But we've got a new message, so let's go and have a look.
Hey Darnell, it's Rosine over at Corporate Ops. Give me a shout back when you clock in. Just wanted to follow up a bit on the distro issue. Talk to you in a bit. Bye. Darnell, Rosine again. Still need to sync up about the power distribution problem. Where are you, man? Getting tired of waiting. Darnell, call me.
Okay, so there's a power distribution issue, which is becoming obvious. Darnell's not responding for whatever reason. We assume that these messages were sent while they were all still alive, right? But let's have a look. What is floating around? What is this? Inspect. It's a what? It's a ration pack, I think, isn't it? Is that what it is? Is it a ration pack? It's a placeholder. I don't know. It looks cool, though, and I want it. So there. That I didn't notice before. Randall, I have a feeling I know you. Because the Jodie Whittaker joke is a little bit too niche. Who are you, my friend? Reveal yourself to us. So this is the accommodation when we're up here, and lo and behold, I didn't realise that it was in the first one. But here's something, so let's have a look.
Hey babe, I just got the package you sent. Thanks a million for the movie mod. It is incredible. Sorry for the noise. The crew surprised me with a shindig. Holy shit, is that a bottle of Esquire? How did you afford this? Jeez, Darnell, look, just one. Here we go. Hey, look, I'm gonna get back to it, but let me know how your dissertation's going. Anyway, I love you and I miss you. Thank you again for the personal pack. Bye, babe.
Which is a sucky message, because they're all dead. And they died during that party, so that's not good. So there was a bottle of Esquire, they said. Well, that's not it. But, you know, this is obviously where they were all sat and stuff, and now everything, obviously because of the blowout, is now just randomly connected to... bleh. Okay, so having a look into each of these spaces. Basically, you're trying to figure out what's going on. We potentially have enough now. We've got more evidence, effectively, that this guy has been drinking, right? So if we thought that was the end of the story, I could hit submit down here and that would be it. And she'd obviously come back disappointed. Right. Well, yeah, she'd obviously come back disappointed and asking us, hopefully, to you know, not reveal this to the company, but saying thank you very much for finding out for us. So just while this is going on, I'm just going to very quickly fix two things. Firstly, I'm going to put something cool in the background because I don't like this frame being see-through. Let's go with, I don't know, that. Ta-da! And secondly, let's get the game booted again. The crash recovery has been pretty good, so That'll be that. Matthew, don't worry about it. Look, YouTube notifications are doing something very weird. I get notifications that videos have gone up, sometimes days after the video's actually been released, and it'll say released 10 minutes ago, and I'll look at the video, and the video will be like 10 hours ago, and it's not that I've left the window open and just not checked the notification. That'll happen when I first open YouTube, so don't sweat it, my friend. It's just a thing. I'm just hoping we reappear in Kovalex Gundo. I'm hoping that we can restart that mission, or sorry, pick up from where we left off even. Do I know a second Randall who has a crush on Jodie Whittaker too? Hasn't everyone got a crush on Jodie Whittaker? I don't know. Right, so we'll let the game move. Basically, there's a bug, it seems, that a certain percentage of the player base has, that the game does not recognise a certain proportion of the RAM that is available. So it'll tell me if I check the logs that I've got 10 gigabytes of RAM free, but that it ran out of RAM. So I'm trying to chase down what that is. The good news is it's not the XMP or the DOCP issues. So we are chasing it down and trying to figure out what it is. I'm also resolved now to finally installing my Gen 4. And the reason I've been holding that off is that's woohoo! Hey, Crash Recovery is working pretty well, ladies and gents. To someone in chat saying I hate this game, which is why I operate with chat off about most of the time. But yes, so there's that. So hopefully we'll figure it out. What you will see here is these are actually closed by order of the investigation company of Kovalex. So we can't get into, for some reason, 2 pods. 2 hubs completely closed. So let's have a look at the others, see if there are any clues for us. But like we said, you can at any point you can ditch this mission, right? When you decide that it's going down a way that you don't want to go. So, you know, I tend to use the same example for this, but let's imagine then that you're doing a mission, you go to a planet to do something, it's whatever you want to do in the game, but then all of a sudden it doesn't work like that anymore, and you're like, well, yeah, I've enjoyed it as far as we've gone, but actually I don't want to do this mission anymore. It's talking about, I don't know, search and rescue now for the people that I've been trying to find, and I'm not interested in that. So wouldn't it be cool if we could quit at that point, and then someone else maybe can pick the story up? So it just comes, we're trying to find people in this location, can you help? Blah, blah, blah. I think that would be quite cool. But yeah, so there we are. Hopefully now that's you back on the gameplay, because it's just the Crash Recovery is finished, everything's loaded in, and we can move around and do stuff again. Yeah, so it would be really cool if you could just drop missions when you needed to, or when you felt like it, rather than feeling like you had to follow it all the way through to the end, and do a bunch of stuff you don't enjoy, and still feel like things are being completed. That would be quite cool. But let's have a look. What's the new message? Okay, so this is something for us to read, so this is reports. So, Ross, strong rapport with the haulers. Need to make sure the profession isn't lost. 2 citations for not properly logging crates. Dun dun dun. Darnell Ward, little abrasive at first. He has punctuality problems, seem to have gone away. He has been regularly on time for the past 3 months. Hopefully that's Darnell coming off the source. That would be good. Keeps his personal space clean. Can sometimes be too diligent in trying to figure out a problem. Overthinks things. can also lead to taking unnecessary risks. Wait, what? He overthinks things and takes unnecessary... Right, that sounds a bit weird. Very proactive. Nico, focus, gets the job done. Figure out how to mention the deodorant thing. Okie dokie. Kiyomi, so far so good. Good attitude. Could be a little... reports could be a little cleaner. Schedule rotation. Possible candidate for advanced training. Nice. Mel, needs to be more fond of using mobiGlas. So, like, the common on the mobile stuff. So we're trying to basically solve a puzzle here for those that have just joined, for yourself, Antonio, and that sort of stuff. So let's have a look. Can be territorial with responsibilities. Needs to be more letting others help. Okay. Is that everything that was on there? So that's the recovered data. Okay, so it's those reports. That's it. So let's scooch around, see if we can find anything else that wants to tell us anything about what's going on. It's quite like well signposted, the new stuff, in that it's, you know, it's all glowy and obvious. Like that screen's really obvious, right? When you're looking at, when you compare it to the other screens. So it's quite nice and glowy, and I hate EVA in this game. But it's quite glowy and obvious when something's not right. So we're going to have a look through now. What's this? So let's have a look. Retrieve data. Oh, here we go. So those are the codes to get into the Habs then. But Mel's isn't working, and then Darnell's is there. Okay, so we can come back to this, but now we've got access to those two rooms that we saw before. So let's scooch about over here. Oh, what's this? Login required. Place fingers. Maybe not. They can't have someone's hand floating around, surely. That'll be a little bit creepy. But let's see. Surely around here there's going to be... Oh, there we go. Mel's access code is different than the one we have on file. I don't know if it was a holdover from the last shift or she changed it without authorization, but went ahead and reset it to a new unlock code, which is attached. Interesting. Okay, so we've got... Someone's obviously changed someone's door code for whatever reason. So we need to figure out how that fits into the story. Okay, but what I'll obviously do is I'll take this all the way through to the end, and show you the whole, what I believe to be the whole storyline. But let's zip around through here. This is just really awkward for steering, guys. I'm really sorry. I will be as quick as I can doing this. But it's not... EVA on this is not pleasant, put it that way. It's pretty uncomfortable. Just looking for anything that could indicate... Okay, so blown server racks. We've got something over here. So we've got a server log. So, okay. Run protocol. Run protocol. Oh, here we go. Warning, power system overheating. Power system overheating. So Darnell Ward did this, right? So that's who did it. All monitor silences. Uh-oh. So he silenced everything. So he stress tested it, silenced the alarms. It overheated. Power system offline. Decompression detection system. So it's just very... That's the explosion. This is not looking good. That's something. So let's have a look over here. Oh, come on. Stay with me. Went through the data logs on the server and managed to put together a rough timeline of events that led up to the crash. I know the initial speculation was criminal sabotage and negligence. Okay, so power distribution logs. Over the past year, the station has been suffering from sporadic power drain, so that's the problem they were trying to fix. Cool. Here's the initial stress test. Everything looked good. I haven't fired away, but a few hours later, he runs the all monitor silence protocol. And that's removing the only way that he was going to be warned that the power plant was going critical. Not a good move, Donnell. And then through here, I think this is pretty much our only way out. So there's that. Back here. Okay. So we are back now on the habitation floor. So now we can go and have a look at these spaces that we couldn't get into before. So let's have a look. Do not tamper. So, okay, that's fine. But where are the security codes? So, 6682, or it's an unlock. This is us, right? There we go. Oh. Ouch. Okay, new messages. This should be Darnell, I think. Oh, she was halfway through reading that, and that's where it all goes wrong. Because he's not finished typing. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so let's get out before the door tries to kill us again. What is this thing? I don't know what that is. But loot goblin, so that's going in. Oh, steady. See, EVA totally scuffed. Right, let's go and find out what's going on at this last location. So we've got the unlock thing that's already in the mobiGlas. So we're able to get in. There are a lot of these bottles kicking about just here.
Hey, wanted to let you know that I got the ops guy's passcode last night. Took a whole damn bottle of Esquire to do it. Talk about being able to hold your liquor. I set the routine to bypass the monitoring protocols at 1400. The crates should go through, no problem. Just be ready at the drop, alright? By the way, had to change over the security stuff. Codes attached.
Wow. So there you go then. There's part of it, is that for some reason these codes have been deactivated, which she obviously intended to do for... How do I get... Is that the floor? That's the floor that we've done, right? Yeah. So it looks like Melorski is actually the reason why this station has exploded. So she has... Oh, wee. She shut down the monitoring system, which is what caused it to not be able to see what was going on. And that's why they missed the power drain, and that's why everything exploded. Interesting. So, that looks like that might be the end of our mystery. Graceful, thanks for joining us, mate. And yeah, that sounds exciting. Absolutely. The idea of being able to see Star Citizen in 4K. Sounds like he's getting quite the beefy rig. So there's 3 floors. We've seen what's on one floor on one side. I guess I'm just kind of wondering what's on the other floors. Because this is all glass, right? So there's no way in that way. So we've seen that floor and there's nothing above it. Right. So we have, as far as we can tell, solved the problem. Yep. So you've got that last message. Yep. To Red Sand, whoever that is. There you go. Monitoring protocols. So it wasn't him at all. It was her. And she got everyone drunk, because if you remember, they mentioned the bottle of Esquire in the beginning. It's like, where did you get the money for that? And then we go into a room and there's something else. So she's obviously intended to use that to bribe the crew, and they're using Gundo's shipping hub for shipping whatever nefarious stuff she's trying to ship and pass on to another organization, not knowing that the power distribution problems here were going to completely trip her up and basically put a pretty explosive end on everyone's thing. Let's have a look what this says. Cool. I think that's it. And our ship's still there as well, which is always a bonus. 4090, 128 gig RAM, i9 24 core. Yeah, that's a little bit monstrous. I'm a little bit jealous, not gonna lie. That's great. I'm really glad he's gonna be able to play this on a beefy rig. That's really cool. So, landed it, just almost didn't. So what we're going to do now is submit it. And you can see the use this might have, right? Because the next thing here might be that they're going to go to that drop site and figure out, like, what's going on. And you might be like, well, I don't mind being the PI, but I don't want to do the combat stuff. So you can hand this off, and the next person gets a mission. It's been discovered that this gang caused the explosion at Gundo. They don't need to know how you figured that out. And that's their mission. You know, now we're going to go and track them down, and a lawful player, bounty hunter, whatever, gets that next mission to go and do that. So that could be quite exciting. But what we're going to do now is go to the mission. We are going to submit it and see what she says.
I wanted to let you know that I got the information you sent, and if what you found is true, I owe you a very big thank you, and Kovalex owes me and my husband an apology. Thank you again. I'm uploading your payment to your account now.
You're very welcome, Mum. Mr. E, hello. Graceful, thank you very much, my friend. You know, I'm glad to be of service. Mr. E, I'm glad that you caught a stream as well. Good to see you on. We have just finished one of the missions that is closest to my heart in Star Citizen, the Kovalex Gundo shipping hub mystery. definitely worth a look. One of the few missions that isn't a dynamic event that has lots of audio, non-combat, and we showed at the beginning, if you go there and do the PI wanted from your personal missions, and then pick up all the shipping missions that go with it, you can earn about 61k for no combat. So, yeah, not a bad way to go. Let's see now if we can find something a little bit more stressful. So Daymar's being attacked. All of this again looks very, very basic, doesn't it? We've got the confiscate contraband, which is the jump down, which I'm absolutely not going to do in a medical Pisces. That just ain't happening, sir. We've got some investigations going on. One of the things we can do, if you fancy it, is we can go and do some of the... we can go and have a go with some of the illegal salvage missions. So yeah, I have a Perseus Graceful, yeah. So it's not too bad. It's not too shabby. But let's go and get my Vulture and go to one of the places that these missions actually happen, because unfortunately they don't happen here. So let's just switch around. It's going to take a little while to do this in a Pisces, but we'll get there. Jump, jump, jump. We can go and do some of the salvage missions, which have been really quite good. There's the salvage missions that are common, which are these ones. Okay, so you've got salvage missions that are common. They're at random Lagrange points, basically. So if you're careful, you can and keep checking back. You can localize them all in an area, so you can jump from one to the other. And the other nice thing about this is once you're bored with them, you just abandon them. There's no rep hit. You basically take it on until you get what you need out of it. You buy a fee, so basically you're buying the coordinates of that vessel that's in the list. And that's it. You go there, you salvage. Often, if they've got a cargo hold, you can salvage stuff out of the cargo. If they've got weapons, you can salvage weapons. And then obviously you can hull strip as well. So yeah. Do you think the F7A and F8A will be for sale, and for what price? The F8 Lightning, no. They haven't sold it yet, and I doubt they will, because it's a concierge reward. I think they've said, and I don't have a source for this, unfortunately, so I can't back this up, but I've heard numerous people now, and Edison, who's a long-time backers in chat, I noticed, might be able to support me on this as well. I think they have said that there is a definite possibility that once you complete Squadron 42, you'll be able to buy one as part of your military service, passing out your military service. So I think it may come as part of a Squadron 42 completion reward. So yeah. The F7A, I don't think it's going to change price. I see no reason for it to change price. Excuse me. Cool. It's been a long weekend. I need to go back to work for a rest. But yeah, no, I think the F7A, I don't think we're going to get... I don't think it's going to change in price. I don't think it needs to. Single track says I heard that too. Yeah, so that's what I understand to be happening with the Lightning, the civilian version of it, or the the non-military version of it, as it were. But yeah. So yes, so you have those basic salvage missions, and then the fun ones are these ones. Okay, so the risky. And you can go and kind of pick one of these. You've got those in around Yella. which I suppose you could go for, but I'm not a fan of the ones around Yella, mainly because, Grim Hex and Pirates and stuff. And then you've got a couple in various wells in Hurston space. And I already have a Valkyrie set up ready to go down at the Duna. So... Matthew says, I'm debating whether keeping the Apollo upgrading to the Galaxy with a medical module. My only concern, I'm more of a solo gamer, so I doubt I'd be able to crew it. Yeah. I think the only bonus, I say the only bonus, that's not the case, but the standout in terms of medical gameplay between the Apollo and the Galaxy is that the Galaxy, you have spaces for tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 beds. So you can have all 3 tiers installed at once. And what it looks like with those tiers is, roughly speaking, the Apollo, for example, can fit, if you've got a tier 1 bay, it'll only fit 1 tier 1 bed. If you've got a tier 2 bay, it'll fit 2 of them. And if you've got tier 3, it'll fit 3 of them. And that's the kind of big difference between the 3 levels of beds. The Galaxy, I don't think, is going to be much different. The thing is, obviously, the Apollo's only got 2 bays. If you're solo, I don't know. I mean, you can always look at a CCU potentially to the Galaxy, and just not apply it. I think for me, one of the standouts with the Apollo is that it's got the drone recovery, casualty recovery system. And we don't know for sure yet, but there is significant chance that that drone recovery system may well be automated. Or you locate your casualty, you tell the drone to go get it, but then that's it. The drone gets them and comes back. I mean, we don't know, but I mean, the lack of significant operator space on board the Apollo seems to indicate that might be the case. Because if you were expecting, the drone operation to be a significant part, you would expect there to be dedicated space to it on board, right? Yeah, the Apollo with bunker missions, you obviously, what you're not going to get is you're not going to get the vehicle side of things, so you don't get the ground. But then again, if they're outside the bunker, the drone, obviously I'm not expecting drones to be able to go inside bunkers. That'd be a little bit weird and all sorts of fun with collisions and whatnot. But then again, with the underground facilities, who knows? It might be that they're big enough to have drones whipping through them when the new ones come in. I'm genuinely not sure. Yeah, so there's 2 sides to the NPC crew. Obviously, the first is that they're programmed well enough to be able to do what it is. I do so hate it when that happens. I do so hate it when that happens. At least, however, it did that on... It's not booted us out of the game again. Or sorry, it's not booted us out of OBS. I'm still here. Still talking to you. So yeah. I think... likely... the 2 things that are going to affect NPC crew the most, number 1 will be obviously the programming of them. Number 2 is the server tick rate. So obviously the higher the tick rate, the quicker the server responds to what's going on. And this is why sometimes you can sit there and you can shoot NPCs for days and they don't respond to you. It's because the tick rate's not ticked over. It's not registered that you've started doing that yet. And that's why then sometimes all of a sudden they come back and they just laser the living poop out of you, because now they are responding. So yeah. As for, Single Trek asks, prediction for the price for the Fury. I don't think it's going to be that much. I think you're looking, because it lacks a quantum drive, right? From what I understand, it lacks a quantum drive, so it's exceptionally limited on range. It's like a point defense fighter. I don't know. $50-$60 would be my ballpark guess. You get much higher, you're getting too close to things like the Hawk and the Gladius and the Arrow and everything else. You go much lower. I don't know. It could go lower. I wouldn't be surprised if it was lower. But I just feel like everything else feels too close to other fighters and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. There's some really good numbers coming out. 70, certainly. I mean, if it go any higher than 70, they've got it wrong, I think. I've done a video with the info runners on it. We did that this morning, in fact. And I think, one of the things with it, as far as I'm concerned, is that we're not doing too bad for the amount of times we've come back, But yeah, it almost looks like a flying turret, and I'll just say that. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like the turrets off the Carrack, and I know they're different manufacturers, but it looks like the turrets off the Carrack grew wings. And we'll leave that where it is, and see what they come out with. I also think that there is, I think CIG are doing a really good job right now of doing the magicians thing. You know how they do all this over here to stop you looking over here? I think that's happening. I think there's another ship. There's another ship on its way. They've given us enough about the Storm, the Lynx, and the Fury, and the Fury's missile-only counterpart, that everyone is looking in the wrong direction and not seeing what's actually going on. Because otherwise, that's a lot of small stuff with no big stuff. And one of the Execute's points about it is really valid, is that if they don't do another ship, nothing in this sale, nothing new in this sale, has a quantum drive. So yeah, it's an interesting set of offerings, I think, from CIG. And I just hope that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does look that way, doesn't it? It looks like in its current state, you could potentially land it in a Connie, which is scary. But yeah, there's some really interesting possible. No, I think price rises are connected with things. So I think price rises make sense when something happens in terms of like a gameplay loop, ships go to flyable, something else along the lines of, all of a sudden we can do something with that ship, or they release a new variant of it. I don't see them raising too. I mean, maybe this is just wishful thinking, but I don't see them raising too many prices without without a reason to. So yeah, I mean, it would be really cool. I mean, if those ships, obviously, those Furies, obviously have to operate from something. Wouldn't it be cool if we got what they operated from? Even if it's a modified Starfarer, and it hangs on the rail, they hang on the rails, like the like TIE fighters do, and you know, and get released from the rails at the back. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. The Prowler got like cool alien tax and then some, but $400 for that ship. And don't get me wrong, I love the Prowler, but not for that sort of price. No, thank you. No, thank you very much. Right. So I don't know what either of these things are, but we've picked them up, so there. Yeah, so that was fun. It's like at least we've got an idea of where we need to go with this problem, right? And hopefully we'll get it sorted soon. Matthew, honestly, I reckon the Prowler will likely end up with stealth. Can effectively be a ground vehicle because it goes straight up to bunkers, and it's the only stealthy dropship too. Yeah, I think the Prowler is going to end up with a lot of radar defeat. And it's going to end up with lots of stuff, right? That, you know, the Prowler, for those that don't know, during the Tavaran War, the Prowler was used by the Tavaran to approach UE capital ships, and actually land on the outside of them, and then their boarding party would actually jump out onto the hull and get in with cutting torches, blasting charges, you know, through all the windows that for some reason people still think need to be on ships. You know, warships and windows and not. There's a reason that ships don't have windows. Warships don't have windows other than up at the bridge. Is that, you know, when a ship gets hit by a missile, you can imagine the shockwave that goes out like ripples on a pond. Well, it does that to the metal as well, right? And if you've got glass does not do well flexing. Metal can flex more than you would think. I've seen ships actually bend walking down them. A passageway that was just over 100 meters long. I've seen people go left, disappear from me completely as it's bent, and then they come back into view as the ship straightens up, and then they disappear the other way, right? And you see each other disappearing and reappearing, and realise that the ship that you're on, in exceptionally rough weather this is, actually flexes to that extent. And this is a warship that's designed to get smashed about. So, yeah, I'm imagining the Tavaran are like, these dudes just keep putting windows in their ships. Bang. Get it around the bridge, because there's always people on the bridge. When the ship's out, there's always people on the bridge to keep watch. And at the end of the day, old bridges used to be open anyway to all the elements, so it's not the end of the world if you lose the bridge windows. But everywhere else is just weird. Yeah, I think the Tavaran, I think the Prowler is going to really come into its own when it comes into game. I think it's going to be rep gated. I think it's going to be it's going to be rep gated. It's going to be all sorts of very expensive in game. It's going to be all sorts of things, but I think it's going to be able to do some really nifty stuff, and I can't wait to see the first. The first iteration of what a full-on like military org does with it. Oh, can you hear that? That sounds like fireworks. And why would there be fireworks, I wonder? You know why there's fireworks. Let's go grab our vulture at the same time, so we can then go off and do one of the salvage missions. But let's go give this a go.
Vehicle selected.
Tavarin Arbor looks great, yeah. Hopefully CIG doesn't have all the ops room stuff on the bridge. Yeah, the problem with... So this is getting old really rather quickly, isn't it? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can sneakily do something. Because I thought this might happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find now the video that I took of me doing one of these missions earlier on, and we can kind of talk over the top of that. So it looks like I'm playing, I'm just not. Fireworks equals crash. Yeah. So Matthew, what we've figured out is there's an error that comes up at the end of my play session. So what we found is this, right? If I go all the way down to the bottom of the here we go. Right, let's have a look at this. Oh yeah, I'm too small for my frame. Let's have a look. I'm too sexy for this webcam. Right. So here's the error log at the end. What you'll see here is you've got system memory status. Okay. So you've got just under 10 gigabytes sat free. Okay, and as you follow it down, what you're looking for is this. The system's out of memory can't allocate 260 kilobytes and yet has 10 gigabytes of free physical memory. So nothing else is a problem. It's not a fatal error, it's not internal, it's not the GPU, it's not video memory, it's none of those things. It's a system memory issue. And I don't know why it's happening. And online they don't seem to know what's happening. My head's in the way, that's okay. I can just move this over here. Let's do that. So I'm just going to move that side. Okay, so it's that side of me. There you go. So what you're looking for here is this bit. Is out of system memory? Yes. Because it couldn't allocate 260 kilobytes of memory. So yeah, that's that. So one of the things that we know it is, I've been playing this over the weekend and I don't have a streaming PC, so all of this is being dealt by one PC. So I have this background being rendered in, I have OBS running, I have my virtual sound deck, which is Wavelink Elgato software stuff, and the game and everything else running on one PC. It's doing the whole thing. And obviously it becomes a lot more unstable when it's trying to do all of that simultaneously. So, yeah. I got a sizable page file and all that sort of stuff, so virtual memory. And that's the really interesting thing there, is that it's still registering that as free memory and then won't. So I'm going to figure out what it is. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm on 32 gigs of pretty fast DDR4. I'm on a 5600X Ryzen 5, 3080, just stock 3080. The only thing I'm not on is I'm on solid states, but I'm on old SATA solid states. So I've got a Gen 4 that I'm putting off installing because I'm going to do a complete refresh of Windows. And hopefully that will help fix whatever it is. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But one of the things I have considered, which might be quite cool, and see what you guys think about this, because I tried to do it this week, I just ran out of time, is I might well, through the week, capture video of me playing and then cut it together into vague highlight-like chunks. So from me accepting the mission to cashing it in, for example, and then just change it out for the next mission. So whenever these things happen, you don't see them. And we can still talk. I mean, I can still click if you want it to look like I'm playing. So we'll be talking over the top of that. So you'll still be seeing gameplay. There just won't be the chance to influence what's going on, but we can still sit here and chat, and I can still show you interesting things I've found and all that sort of good stuff. But, you know, let me know what you guys think. Limited, so because it's an AMD motherboard, XMP is called DOCP, and it's not that. DOCP is not on at the minute, so it's not DOCP crashing stuff. But yeah, hey, it's you know, it's one of those things. I know it's weird. I like having problems because it's the real Star Citizen experience. And as much as I love and aspire to Morph's high production quality, gorgeous vistas, you know, like sometimes I look at it and go, how does that ship look actually real? As much as I absolutely like aspire to that, I think it's misleading sometimes. Not intentionally. I think it's, you know, people see it and they see the sugar coated when it all goes well. What they don't see is this. They don't see the constant looking at loading screens and whatnot. So, you know, it's a bit of a pain in the backside. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. If I can get an Elgato HD 60X, I'm gonna Google some of this stuff because I don't recognise that at all. HD 60X. Let's have a look. What are we looking at shopping wise? It's not the most expensive thing in the world. Yeah, anything like that. What I won't do on a Liberator. Get out, Respawns, get out. But yeah, hey, Notorious, I'm always open to suggestions. I just, at the moment, I'm very aware that I've built this channel on Star Citizen, and I'm happy to go wider, but Star Citizen is the core of it. Anything else where I can use my Navy knowledge, apart from actual, like, World of Warships and stuff like that, because there's nothing in World of Warships that you can't learn through Wikipedia or picking up a book. Whereas the day-to-day life on a Navy vessel now, that's not immediately evident to people. That's not immediately apparent. Even documentaries sugarcoat, warp, distort, whether they know it they're doing or not. Liberator, not Liberator. You know, so the World of Warships and stuff, it's like I would just be reading up on Wikipedia, reading, you know, World War II at sea and all that sort of stuff. Really good books, but that's nothing that no one else can do, because I can't talk to you what it was like being at sea in that period, because quite obviously, my youthful appearance, I wasn't there. But yeah, any other games that you're thinking of, let me know, and we will I'd be more than happy to give them a go. Like we tried Hell Let Loose on stream a little while ago, and I kind of want to do that when there's a couple of guys I know that we play really well together, and I want to get them on one Sunday. and we'll sit down together and crew a tank. Tank a crew? Crew a tank. And because I think Hell Let Loose vehicle gameplay is some of the best vehicle gameplay I've ever been involved in, full stop. And I've done really technical armor vehicles and stuff like that. Doesn't touch Hell Let Loose. Hell Let Loose is just chef's kiss. So yeah, let us know. Yeah, look, Sea of Thieves, Kelko. You know me, I love Sea of Thieves. Yeah, I played Sea of Thieves day one. It's so good. But yeah, I end up doing it on my own now. So it's really good until people decide they want to chase you down, and you're just on a loser there. Yeah, I mean, some sort of battle tactics. I mean, I did ages ago. I don't know if they're still on the channel. They might be right at the bottom of that list. But I did like Total War Warhammer videos because I worked for Games Workshop for a while. In fact, it's the job when I came out of the Navy, I ended my resettlement period early to take a job managing one of Games Workshop stores. Yeah, I've been gaming with Workshop since I was 13. So mid-90s ish, give or take. Yeah, I'm massively into the lore. I'm going to show you guys. I'm still working on the space, but I'm working on the streaming cave. There's going to be models. There are going to be, and apologies if you saw this the last time, but I do like waving her around a little. There are going to be naval swords, or a naval sword, singular. Yeah, so that's my sword from the Navy. Yeah. And there's going to be all sorts of stuff in here. I've got there's some old goalkeeper tracings, which is basically the shells that are fired out of the front of the A-10 Warthog. I got one of them kicking around somewhere. Yeah. So I'll have a streaming cave full of all this stuff, so that'll be cool. Nebulous Fleet Command or Wolf Pack. Do you know what? Nebulous Fleet Command is on my wish list. In fact, I think it's even on sale right now, isn't it? So I may well pick that up and take a look. We'll have a look. Every man should have a sword. I have 3. I've got a naval sword, an Arabian dancing sword, and then, as in the sword they use when they do their ceremonial dances, I was gifted that by an Arabian captain. Arabian, probably shouldn't have said that. Sorry, mate. by a captain from the UAE. And I've also got a very broken, very poorly looking Frostmourne, which I think is beyond saving. I gave my cousin a katana for his 20th, and he got drunk and cut his cake with it. Nice. I did, at my wedding, use the naval sword. It's the only bit of the Navy that I dragged into the wedding. Didn't get married in uniform or anything, but did cut the cake with a sword, which is cool. Right. Let's see if we can do this one more time. Let's see if we can fix this, and if we can, we'll go back into game. So I haven't been playing while we've been talking. We've just been talking. It's been good fun. Yeah, I play an awful lot of well, I mean, that's something else we could play if we wanted, is another laptop or any other Windows PC or anything. So I have a work laptop, if that helps. No, I think what is likely is that I'll do those kind of highlights. So I'll capture some gameplay from during the week, and then do that sort of stuff. So I'll capture some footage around Lorville, and I'll capture some footage of Orison, and it allows me to take out all the niggles, because I enjoy this, but at the moment, every time I stream, I lose subscribers, which is really, really interesting. So the idea of getting a higher quality camera, I like the Elgato Facecam, but unlikely that I'm going to do that because of cost. That's 130 quid. You've got this Stream Deck, the Stream Box thing. That's 180 quid. It's a lot of extra stuff to be throwing on for something that I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be doing long term, in terms of the streaming. So we shall see. Facebook's never been the platform for streaming, and obviously if I want to stream to multiple outputs, so if I want to stream to Facebook and Twitch at the same time, that's definitely needing another PC, right? Because I had Restream sat on top of all of this. So Restream was then taking this, sending it simultaneously to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Twitch. Yeah, and unstable as hell, right? So, for the third time, sirs, someone's trying to win at salvaging by doing it with hand salvages. AR-15. So you're US based then, are you, Graceful? Or are you just kind of illegally shipping weapons to the UK? I take it you're US based. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna take it on faith. But yeah, unfortunately, it's, you know, firearms. I say unfortunately. Here, personal firearm ownership isn't necessary, so it's not legal. I worded that very carefully. But yeah. Everyone and their mums is packing down here. Sergeant Angle, McGree are good. Yeah. Unfortunately, I come worrying. I used to live worryingly close to the county where they sound like that. In Samford, Gloucestershire. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? Having seen the Navy try and deal with firearms, we're trained and we're like monkeys using tools for the first time. So I'm kind of glad that not just anyone can get their hands on a fucking firearm. That's just dangerously. Okay, so what else? What have we got? What else have we got to play with? So I don't have masses on my hard drive at the minute. Just because I'm kind of drawing down in preparation for changing everything over to the Gen 4. It's just like caught me at the worst possible time. So I've got World of Warcraft. I'm not going to be a World of Warcraft streamer ever. But we have something called Door Kickers 2, if anyone's familiar with that. Which is lots of fun. It's top-down, close quarters battle. Lots of kind of operators that you can tool up, and then you've got to give them orders and all that sort of stuff, and off they go. So that might be quite good to try. Or we can just go and watch me get my bottom shot off in Hell Let Loose. It's entirely up to you guys. Let me know in chat what you'd like to see. Yeah, unfortunately with Ready or Not, as much as I like the idea of Ready or Not, they did the school side of the shootings, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. So I'm going to hold off and see how tactfully, because I don't think they've actually done it, but they doubled down and said they were going to do it. So yeah, I just kind of was like, okay, we'll see. As a vote for Hell Let Loose, anyone else got any other choices, or should we go? One of the lads was transporting ammo in his Fiesta. He may or may not have been speeding and may or may not have been pulled over by the police. Note saying police cannot detain him or his car. They allegedly ran back to the car as if they'd never seen him. Yeah, it won't be the first time they've dealt with stuff like that. I got stopped in airport, so I was based in Faslane, living in Plymouth, and they're about 600 miles separated. Going home for the weekend, so I just flew. And I had my laptop on me, and they flunkied my laptop, which is they get a little piece of Korean cloth, rub it over your laptop, and then put it into a machine, and it beeped, and I got taken into a side room. And they went, why have you come into contact with firearms? I was like, here's my ID card. You know, I was duty at Mains. I did the weapon handover. But obviously, I inspected someone's weapon, had a look, and I touched the gun. So I touched the rifle, residue on my hands. I touched my laptop before I'd gone to bed or showered or whatever else, and that residue was just there. So yeah, it happens more than people think, because there was no like, it wasn't like meh, meh, meh. It was just like, can you just step over here a second? I was like, yeah, fine. And they opened the bag and said, right, you've come into contact with firearms. Tell us why. And they were like, yeah, happens all the time. Gave me my ID card back, and off I went, like, sort of thing. So yeah. If you want to smuggle guns, join the forces. What? I didn't say that. Okay, so we got a couple of votes for Hell Let Loose. Let's give that one a go. So a couple of things in Hell Let Loose that I really, really like, and I think Star Citizen need to adopt. One is the vehicle gameplay full stop. And we'll talk about that when we see the tanks going around, and why you act in certain ways around the tanks. The other thing that I like is the way the machine guns work, and the support weapons, which is what the FS9 is. So the idea that in Hell Let Loose you could somehow use a machine gun like you use an FS9 is ridiculous. There's no way. Right, you grab the bipod and use the bipod to brace it, and it is so inaccurate. And the idea with most of them is you're not one-tapping, two-tapping stuff unless they're point-blank range. You are suppressing the hell out of it. And that's the other thing in this game I really like, is the suppression. You know, is that the whole notion of you get shot at, and your screen goes dark and blurry, and it takes you a while of not being shot at to recover. And it stops that ridiculous, like, you know, with a machine gun, you're absolutely smashing an area where you know someone is. They pop up and one-shot you from 300 meters away. It's like, that's not what happens under fire, ever. That's just, that life isn't that accurate, right? So let's see if we can find a server to jump onto. Saint-Marie de Mont. I don't know if this is the server that this is one of the servers I can play on, or one of the servers I can't. Yeah, suppressing fire, exactly that. Exactly that, can. It's suppression is vital to put people's heads down. So, okay, I don't know if you're going to be getting the audio from this, so you will. Let me go back to chat only just for a second. I just want to make sure that we're getting the. So let me know if you can get that. But we've joined the stateside. This is very much like Squad, in that you work with your team. Your team can play. Your team leader or your squad leader can place an OP, an observation post, which is where you spawn. So I'm going to create an infantry unit. I'm going to go to be that guy. Okay, so we're getting attacked quite hard at dugout, so I'm going to go for an SMG instead. Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to die, because they're going to put artillery. Yeah, welcome to... oh, I'm glad you didn't see that. I was just about to change over. I was like, there's no point, because I'm just going to die. That was a bombing run through our main point, unfortunately. So, yeah, basically that wasn't good. So I have the sneaking suspicion that that gun is not me. It's not our side. And no, it isn't, unfortunately. So yeah, so you have the ability to put down squad spawns where your squad can spawn. So I'm going to do one now. Okay, so I can place that. That's down. Okay, I've got the ability to mark targets on a map. So if I see something, I can mark it as something. And use that to basically inform other players on my team that, you know, there's enemy infantry or an enemy spawn in that area. Garrisons, the entire team can spawn at it. But what you will find, like I say, is that, you know, people can be suppressed. It's all very quite clever. Unfortunately, there's a bit of desync going on at the minute. Yeah, lots of desync going on at the minute. Yeah, and often you find out that you're going to get killed, or you get killed. You've got no way of finding out where from. You know, if you can orient yourself to where you were when you're staring up at the sky dead or staring down at the ground, then maybe you can figure out a rough direction. But most of the time, unless you actually see them, no hope. Just no hope. So I was up there when I died last.
Yo, Artie, can you chill or should I take down that garrison?
Hello. So that's me responding to my squad, not you guys. But yeah, there you go. We keep getting hit by someone up here. So I'm going to post up in a bush. Become my best bush Wookiee. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's that. I know. Yeah, it's a really interesting game in that it seems to get certain things right. In that even a badly organized team are far more effective than a well organized than a not organized team full of people who are very good at the game. Because, you know, without the ability, if people aren't conscious in laying spawns, then you don't get to react to what's going on. If you don't have the supplies, then you can't place the spawns, and so on and so forth, right? So, best bushwalkie impression. Yeah, it's 2 down. Now, if anyone's up there, what they're going to do is they're going to go very, very still. And wait for us to stick our head out. Someone there.
Enemy supply drop. George Mark. Run.
Yeah, so, sorry, clearly I'm completely, as a bloke, unable to multitask, because I'm just kind of running around and either shooting or I'm talking. I don't get to do both. I'm sure you guys know how it is. Great. Could see barely the top of his, yeah, the Garantham thing is great. So yeah, it's a really good. I'd like this game a lot as an alternative to Star Citizen, which, if you've just joined the stream, unfortunately I've had to abandon because it's not stable enough. There's a bug which is preventing me from using all of my available memory, unfortunately. Back to Brecourt Manor, please, and defend. That's why we can't defend, is because they're farming the, they've got guns on the, that garrison's being camped behind Brecourt. Age of Empires 2, wow, that's a blast from the past, that one. Although I have to admit, I have very recently dug out Age of Empires 2 10th Anniversary Edition. So, sorry, Settlers 2 10th Anniversary Edition, so yeah. Both arcade, unfortunately. The... so the bug is with my game client, unfortunately not a particular patch. It's with the client itself, and there's not a lot I can do about that. Unfortunately, this is a game full of bushwookies. Which is people hiding in the bushes all the time. So, no matter how much you might try to play the objectives, they don't. So they can just sit in one location and, which I mean, not with the squad. Bye bye. Okay, somehow we need to get back towards Brecourt Battery. That was a smoke, by the way. I wasn't throwing a proper nade. Let's see how far I can.
Say something, 'cause I saw you
Okay, we can't go that way, unfortunately. What I'm kind of hoping we can do is go this way. Ow. Ow. I don't want to die. Whoever they are, they're a crap shot. Yeah, so it's a fairly hectic, full-on war game, which is always good fun. That looked like a friendly tank? Question mark. Yeah. Okay, that's a... Ah. Yeah, I think so, Can. I think I'm going to try and do that overnight. But we had a look at the error log earlier, and it basically recognizes that there are 10 gigabytes free, and then says couldn't allocate 260 kilobytes to a system system memory. So, yeah, don't spawn at that OP. They've got it covered. Don't spawn at the OP. They've got it covered. So yeah, unfortunate. I knew there was something wrong when we spawned in and there were 42 on the American team and 49 on the German team. The only way that happens is if one side's getting absolutely hammered. Can we get supplies at Grand Shin in for a garrison, please? Disregard there's some there already. Disregard some there already. So you need, yeah, spawn cabin in Hell Let Loose is all the effing time, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm sorry that Star Citizen. I'm just watching the numbers dwindle. Yeah. Oh well, we can stay and have a good chat. But I'm sorry that Star Citizen just does not want to play right now. There's very little I can do about that. You know, I'm going to have to try and, as we said, put in a couple fixes, try for a couple of big spawns, etc., etc. Full installs, big spawns. You can tell my brain was elsewhere. Reinstalls, you know, big fixes and all that sort of stuff. And one of those will be when I pull everything across to the NVMe drive and do a full clean reinstall of Windows, which I'm sure will be, you know, kind of important and useful. I really went the wrong weapon for this range of... Oh no. They are literally the other side of this. Just heard one shoot. It's an MG34. So was it? Yeah, I keep hearing guys that. Yep, I just seen one. And let's get this side because the Germans are coming from my right, and I don't want to be. God damn it. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately it is. It's just 318 was broken. 319 is looking a lot more stable. It's looking a lot better. There's actually, what is quite exciting about 319 is the for the first time ever, the contracts list on the general page is full. Sometimes you've got to scroll down to get to stuff. So there's so much to do now. Salvage missions. You've got legal and questionable salvage. There's all sorts of good, right? Genuinely, really kind of interesting content. And stuff that is worth looking at, right? It is looking so much better than it was before. Unfortunately, I have a bug that's on my client that is client specific, and unfortunately has very little to do with anything other than being a random bug that you get with clients. It's existed before 318, it'll exist after, where it's not recognizing all of my memory, which is where it's... Oh, yeah, I'm dead. There's nothing worse than that. Yeah, so 319 is looking a lot better, which is encouraging because 319 isn't actually 319. It's built on the 318 branch. Okay, so it's 318, basically 0.4 with extended features, which is no bad thing. I'm going to try this, just flank around like that. Which is no bad thing, and you know it seems to be holding its own. Unfortunately, this bug, I figured out what it is. I tried a couple of fixes without streaming again today. I wasn't sure whether or not it fixed it. We couldn't get off the ASOP terminals after a while. So I think that's going to be our next stop, is to do a full reinstall of the game, all the game files, this and PTU, on an M. No skill noob having to spawn camp with a machine gun and can't hit me crossing So I don't see that 319 is going to be too much of a problem for Invictus. I think it fixes things. They certainly can't release it on 318, right? They just can't. There's no way. 318 can't stand up to that. They have to do something. And 319 is looking a whole lot better than 318 ever has or ever will do. So yeah, I don't think they have much choice. Yeah, I mean, if you were here last week, then you know my feelings on, you know, them doing things with the game, with a busted game file before it's ready. I'm not a fan. I don't think they should keep doing it, especially not when it involves free flies and new players. It's a very, very poor move. I wonder if he's on the wing of that glider, because that is a very popular place for MGs to post up. Or he might be in it. No, did he just kill that guy? I bet he did. I think he just killed the MG. That's brilliant. Outshot it with a Thompson. Well, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, but you can see here we're being pushed back. So there's the points. You can only capture the points that are immediately either side of no man's land. So these are all locked. You can, however, if you find enemy deployables like squad spawns or garrisons, you can take them out there. You basically got to lay down next to them or crouch down next to them and you basically hold F for a while to deconstruct. To deconstruct them, and you just hold it until it's complete, which, if you remember, is one of the things I say I don't like about certain games. This is more of a COD-esque. It's not trying to be as realistic as Star Citizen is, but it is a really good example of games that just, you know, hold F for the win or whatever. So I reckon there's a squad spawn up here, because he popped out halfway up here. Yes, there is. That's a squad spawn. That's a squad spawn destroyed. Just in case there's another one in there. Wow. Yeah, during the free flies, Xeno threat, I understand them wanting to stress test. So the dynamic events I got, the dynamic events, Xeno threat, jump down, they make sense. You know, how many entities can we deal with? All this, that, and the other. I'm on board, no issue. The problem that I had was the free fly. right? And I know that they were trying to, stress the servers, free fly, more people on. I understand that that's what they were trying to do. No issue from me. What I have the issue with is the damage that they are doing to people's perception of the game when it's already not in a great place. What possible good is coming of us, getting new players into the game in 3.18.2 when it's already a shitfest? Right, because I'm not being funny. I would have looked at that and gone, failed project, if I hadn't been involved. As in the project as long as I have. I absolutely would not have found it anything like worth supporting, right? Ugh. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, people aren't going to come back to it. Why would you make that people's first exposure to the game? The answer for me is it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. There's nothing. There are grenades coming through that hedge. Don't go American. Don't go American. There are grenades up there. Grenades, grenades, grenades. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, I think what they needed to do was they needed to say to people, look, we are going, in a week, we're going to stress the servers. What we're going to do for anyone that logs more than 2 hours playtime, we'll give them Dragonfly. We'll give them a whatever with lifetime insurance, right? That's how you do it. First off, you make the player base feel better because you give them something for putting up with your shit, frankly. Graceful, thank you very much for popping in, my friend, and hope to see you again. Yeah, I wouldn't for a second consider bringing anyone in right now. To be honest, I wouldn't consider bringing anyone in until I've got my problem fixed. Because how do I stay in and help them and show them round if I'm constantly dropping out? So that's not gonna happen, right? I'm not gonna play that game. But yeah, yeah, exactly that. And look, you don't need to test. There's, no one has got the monopoly on this, right? If you want to buy early and you want to play and you accept the fact that they're saying that it's a test only, but damned if you're going to test it, you just want to play, that's fine. Whatever reason people want to get into the game now, the flawed logic of people getting into the game is when people say, but I'm coming in, and it should be a completed game. But they should be polishing things. But things should be getting better because it's not, the game isn't at that stage yet and hasn't been at that stage yet in its development history. That is not where the game is. And I don't care what people say. It's not, but they should make what they're doing more stable, and then no, that's beta. We're not in beta, and I get that it's a running joke. I get that it's a a meme now. I fully understand it. But that doesn't stop it being true. Right? And an alpha isn't a preset period, it's a state of software. So the only way it comes out of alpha is when it reaches that state, and it's not in that state yet. GG, guys. Well played. Remember to commend. But yeah. So that's not a bad place for it to finish. Who's the lowest on our team? I'm going to do you. There you go. So yeah, it's just going to be one of those things, right? Core game mechanics, yeah, server meshing, dynamic server meshing, the org system, the rep system, base building, they're all core. Being able to construct stuff. Physicalized infantry is a core system. What we have now is temporary. It's a core system to the game. The fact that magic boxes are going to disappear and you're going to have to stow your stuff in actual boxes is important. It's vital to the game. PES needs to be able to deal with that. So, there's all that stuff to think about. But anyway, I'll get off my high horse now. That was Hell Let Loose. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm really, really, really... I'll click the right thing as well now. That we couldn't get more Star Citizen in. I think what we'll do is I'll do that video thing. So hopefully I can get some highlights of what I've done during the week. We'll have it on in the background, and if people don't notice the subtle merges, then they won't notice that anything's changed. But I think that's the best way, because this is a lot more stable when I'm playing on my own. I can get 3-4 hours before the client goes and throws its towel in. So yeah, that's that. But let me know what you think of that idea. If you haven't and you feel like it, hit the subscribe. There's only a few people left in the chat anyway. But thank you very much for bearing with it. I'm sorry it wasn't the experience that you came expecting, but it was nice to catch you all and have a chat anyway. You've been watching Drinkers for Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.